go, whether it's here or anywhere else in the country.
Do you know where SLED is in its investigation right now, and do you know when to expect a file from them?
I just received their file.
You just got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
They had given me some information last week that helped us in preparing the indictment for this week, but I received the rest of it this morning, and again, we'll be reviewing that, providing that to the defense as soon as possible.
How do you think they have done in investigating this, all angles of this case?
Again, I just got their file this morning, so I can't tell you exactly how they've done. And again, how SLED's done is not necessarily the issue. What the issue is the people who were there, who were involved, who saw or heard anything, how they can testify and demonstrate to a jury what they saw and what happened. So that's the most important thing to us.
In all the cases that you have served in that police-related shooting, you feel comfortable in all those cases that you have never indicted an officer for killing a black man?
I feel comfortable that when SLED brings me a file and I review it and I make a decision, that I make a decision that is fair and just based on the evidence that's brought to me. As you know, we are not an investigative body. We take what law enforcement brings to us, assess it, and determine whether or not we have enough to go forward. Well, when we have enough to go forward, we go forward. When we don't have enough to go forward, we don't go forward. And yes, I feel comfortable prosecuting this case, and I feel comfortable about the decisions that I've made in other cases.
Well, the Post and Court brought out a lot of documentary on a lot of police shootings in the past week that led my organization to believe that it's in question on some of the cases that you handled.
Is that a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what is your question?
Question is some of the cases that the Post and Court brought out in the document is in question. Would you look at those cases again?
Sure. I would look at any new evidence we have in a case at any time.
Okay.
I don't have any new evidence that's been brought before me, so I don't have any current plans to review any other cases, but certainly if we had new or additional evidence, we'd be happy to take a look at it in this case or any other case that we have not prosecuted.
Thank you.
Based on the remarks that you made just now about questions not being, going unanswered at the end of your prosecution of cases, and you're saying that in this case it's your responsibility, of course, like all of them, to make sure that there aren't any questions on the table at the end. Well, within the African American community, in the cases of Darrell Drayton and in the case of Denzel Cornell, there were still questions left on the table. Why is it that we're supposed to believe that in the case of the Walter Scott shooting, that and Michael SLAGER, that there aren't going to be any questions left within the community's mind after this?
You are misrepresenting what I've said. I didn't say that there wouldn't be any questions unanswered. In every case that we have, whether an officer is involved or whether a regular citizen is involved, we can't always answer every question because oftentimes we don't have eyewitnesses and oftentimes we don't have independent evidence. So there can always be a question that someone would have. What I'm saying is that in South Carolina and in the Ninth Circuit in particular, what we do is we take the evidence that's brought to us by law enforcement. I do not run law enforcement. I do not direct law enforcement. I take what they give us. If I have questions, I can ask them to follow up. But we take what we're given and we make a determination whether or not we're going to directly indict. In most situations and with most agencies, law enforcement will actually make the decision before we're involved as to whether or not to charge someone. SLED doesn't always operate that way. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. As many of you know who covered this area, while I have not prosecuted an officer for murder under these types of circumstances, we certainly have prosecuted officers and approved warrants or at least consulted on warrants where we felt officers should be charged. And I'm confident, again, based on the evidence that has been brought before us, that we've made the proper decisions in other cases regarding whether or not to move forward. But here today we're talking about the SLAGER case, and as I mentioned before, there was one indictment presented. We're gonna be the second set of eyes to look over the SLED investigative file, and from there we'll determine if there are any other charges. From what the officers, the SLED agents are telling me now, they have not seen probable cause to charge anyone else or to bring other charges, but we're gonna look again at those and make a determination independently.
Do you know if the grand jury saw the cell phone video?
I was not in there. I do believe that the agents had it. I don't know for sure whether or not it was shown, but I know that they had it. We're gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna leave you with copies of the indictment. Again, I think there should be enough. If anybody doesn't have one, if y'all could just let us know and we'll get you a copy.
All right.
Thank
Citizens
you.
of the Ninth Circuit, what do you have to say to
Thank
Morris
you.
Scott's family? Anything?